Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to episode 163 of Nerd Pod Generations. As always, I am one of your illustrious hosts, Steve Taylor, along with the always lovely Al Jetsam. Hello, sir.
Hello, friends and enemies.
What's going on, man?
It's a wet one today, baby.
It is. It's testing out the fix I did on my drain in my yard.
Yeah, well, the weather gods know.
Yeah.
The weather wizard knows all.
But what they know also is when it rains this much this quickly, it floods it, so it doesn't matter because the drain is overflowing. Yeah. It's like, well,
it's funny because this week in Rochester was a emulation of June a few years ago.
Yeah.
In that we had bad air for a pretty lengthy portion.
That was horrible.
Yeah. So between that and the rain, it has been a time in the weather app. I'll log in, and there's always something. It's always like, hey, you're going to die if you go outside. It's like, okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're going to die if you... Just listen to that, folks. You're going to die.
You're going to die if you go outside. Yeah, okay.
Well, anyways, episode 163, meaning that there are 162 previous episodes of Pure Gold, so please find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or pretty much any podcast site of your choice. You can also go to nerdpodgen.com, and there are links to not only... There's a link on the main page to the most recent show we've done, and then there are links to all the podcast sites, including YouTube, which Al has been putting up clips of our past shows, and there's a lot of great content there. It's no video, but you can, run it in the background if you're doing something and you have your TV on.
It's a podcast. Yeah. There's a nice little picture of our logo.
Yeah, and our logo's awesome.
I'm going to tell you straight up, the most interesting thing about seeing us would be what we put on the table between us.
Yes.
Like, without a second thought in my mind, it would be, how would I dress the set? That would be the most interesting thing.
Right now you have a fully put together Lego Rivendell, which would be...
complete with Boba Fett.
I mean, come on now. Don't you remember him in the director's cut?
Also, does anybody remember the scene where they replaced Nardsel with a lightsaber for Aragorn?
Yes.
I also have, speaking of... I have Bart Simpson is skateboarding down the halls of Rivendell and has come across something very interesting. A shattered sword, you say? Still sharp.
Okay, now you are bordering blasphemy with this, but it is still awesome.
Yeah.
And I do approve. So, folks, anyways, we do like to start each episode with what have we been watching, playing, reading. I am going to start today because I have two very amazing things I want to talk about.
Oh, go.
The first thing is I got a Switch 2.
Oh, there it is.
I listening to you and Kelly talking about it, I'm like, I wanted to save it to the show.
Yep.
So I had an epiphany.
Okay.
I know I was bashing it over these last couple weeks ago.
Everybody cut back a few months.
Yes.
To Kelly,
I got the stern
Kelly
look.
just came in, gave him the look.
So here's the thing. Thanks to the Orange Idiot and the tariffs.
Yeah.
The Xbox Series X I had, which I realized the only thing I ever played on it was Fortnite with my son.
Uh-huh.
All the rest of the time it just sat there. And I played all my games on my Switch. And I'm like, you know what? I really should just get a Switch too. I bought the Series X at $399 because it was on sale. Now, because of the tariffs, it's $600. So I just sold it on eBay for $420.
Well, there you go.
So I got $20 more than what I originally paid for it brand new.
Well, now you know you're a Nintendo head.
Yeah, but that completely... I mean, I've always been a Nintendo head. I always, dabbled in the others.
Yeah.
Always been a Nintendo head. And, I mean, it quite literally is exactly what it is.
Uh-huh.
It is a fully beefy, upgraded Switch.
When you were 8 years old, the kids came over to your house to play Super Nintendo, and they went over to Steve Garkin's house for... You had a Genesis?
I had Genesis.
So you weren't always a Nintendo?
Because I wanted to play football.
Steve.
Super Nintendo didn't have Madden football. Genesis did.
Did I?
Nope. Genesis.
At least not the
was
one.
The sports contest.
At least not the one you wanted. I'm almost certain.
Genesis was the sports contest.
I'm almost certain that there was some kind of Madden,
there was Madden
on Super Nintendo because I'm almost certain I've played
because I watched
Madden.
the Madden documentary and I'm fairly certain that's what they said helped boost the Genesis in North America.
Oh, we're gonna have to settle
this
offline.
We're gonna have to look that up. Yeah. But anyways, back to the Switch 2.
Yes.
Okay, so I got it running today.
Mm-hmm.
And
so this was why you were so cheery when I brought up and Steve was like, but actually, that's not true.
Well, because I got to tell you. So I did only get, of course, one game with it, which is the only game to get right now, which is Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I got to say the game changer is Knockout. For those of you who don't know what Knockout is, it is their version of like a battle royale.
Oh yeah, it's like you have to make it to a certain place.
Yes. So imagine the 4 tracks that are usually in a cup, but if they're just connected continuously, and you're just on this super long track, and every certain interval you have to be, I think it starts, you have to be like the 40th person, or no, whatever, 20th. And each one, if you're not at that point, you just get kicked out.
Yeah, you're done.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
It is so much fun. And the thing that I know you will love about this, and I know Kelly will love about this, it is so silky smooth. It's insane. Like, it's beautiful. It's everything the criticisms we've always thrown at the Switch about how it being janky and this and that. Silky smooth.
Right.
Which gives me hope for the future games that they're going to release. Because, like, this is a gigantic game.
Yeah.
And it looks really amazing. So, like, the next Zelda, the next, Metroid Prime 4 is going to be coming out on this. All of these big games, I cannot wait to see them, just actually play them. And the one thing I had a criticism for, and honestly, the thing that changed my mind, I thought when I saw the first preview of Cyberpunk, it looked like shit. And I'm like, this looks like crap. But then I saw a tech review on it, and showing like frame rate and all that, and they're like, no, it's actually like silky smooth, everything runs fine. There's a couple areas that they'll like kind of fog some of it when you're driving around, but it's like stuff in the background that you don't need to specifically see as clear.
Yeah.
So they're doing the little tricks, but it's like a smooth running game, and I'm like, that's my...
Yeah.
So I got the Switch too.
Good for you.
And the thing I love about it is you can use your old Pro Controller.
Oh, nice.
On the Switch too.
You still pairs.
Oh, everything absolutely pairs. So it's like I have 3 Pro Controllers because I have them for the kids and me. So because I sold the Xbox and it pretty much covered it, I'm keeping our other Switch, which is going to be the family Switch. It's just in the living room. We'll play our Mario Party on that and all that. This one is mine.
How do your kids feel about that?
My daughter doesn't care about video games, really. My son just got a PS5 for his birthday. I told him, I said, listen, when Pokemon comes out, the new one, you can play it on it. Absolutely. But I looked him right in the eye and said, but you got to understand, this is mine. And he's like, okay.
This is Daddy's toy.
Yeah. I said, if this thing ever leaves the house in your hands and not mine, I will sell your PS5.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. And he's like, oh, okay. It's no, this is... So I'm excited. And, the older I'm getting, the less I'm getting into those big, meaty games. So, Nintendo has always just been perfect, especially at this age, where I'm like, I just want to jump in on something, do a few hours, jump out, and whatnot.
I don't want any long-term commitments.
Yeah. And fun. I like fun games.
Yeah, something where you can just goof around, have fun, do the thing you want to do, and then come back in 6 months and be like, what was I doing? Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what's great about Nintendo games.
So that's my number 1.
Yeah.
So Switch 2, I will keep filling you in and more to come.
Yeah.
The next big thing is continuing my Tollywood.
Ooh, did you finally see it? Oh, wait, you had seen that one.
I saw Devara.
Yeah.
I just watched Game Changer.
Okay.
Which is on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And it stars Ram Charan.
Okay.
From RRR.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I'm sticking to the movies with these leads just because this is how I'm getting into it.
Well, that's how it is with everything.
Yeah.
That's how you get into anything, is you find the one thing that you feel comfortable with, that you feel inclusive to.
Yes. And
you latch onto that.
Well, like my Hong Kong films. When I got into them, I stuck with Chow Yun-fat and Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
I watched the movies with those two in it, and then it got me into other ones.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting movie. I enjoyed it. It's kind of like RRR, where it has some really cool action scenes in the first half, and it's a long movie. It's like 2 hours and 45 minutes because it is pretty long. It's kind of a lighter movie in the first half, and then it gets a little more heavy. And he plays a guy who is, I don't know how the politics works. He's some kind of political figure he's kind of in charge of regulating things. And he is trying to fix the corrupt political system. including the head minister and his sons, and his sons are like, the head minister is a guy that was good, did something horrifically bad, regretted it his whole life, and then was kind of good at the end. And his sons are pretty much Don Jr. and Eric Trump.
Gotcha.
Like, they're just the worst of the worst, and they want nothing but power, just horrible. And it's his job to kind of, but it has these big, amazing action scenes. It has, the dance numbers are incredible. The thing, you know, it's not, I wouldn't give it an A. Mm-hmm. I would say it's a solid B movie. Like, it's a really good, enjoyable movie that has some moments that are kind of like, this is dragging a little bit. But the thing I love about these movies, it is so impressive when you see these dance numbers and these action scenes, and it's all extras.
Yeah.
It's not CGI. Like, the animals in this aren't getting killed, so they're not CGI. But, like, the dance numbers, just the scenery, the colors pop, like, burns your eyes. They pop so much. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievably beautiful. And it was really enjoyable. Like, I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. You know, I have to say, Ram Charan he's not, I think, the great, to me, the greatest actor alive is Daniel Day-Lewis. Mm-hmm. And then that list, includes, like, Denzel Washington and Meryl Streep and folks like that. He, I think, is he's got to be on the short list for most talented actor in the world. Mm-hmm. Because not only is he really good in the dramatic scenes, he's really good in the comedic scenes. Motherfucker can dance.
Yeah.
His action scenes are amazing. Like, everything he does is amazing.
Yeah.
And you're like, he's not the best at everything, but he's so great at all the things that he's got to be up there.
Yeah.
For, like, overall talent-wise.
Once you start digging through Bollywood stuff, if you ever get to that point, Shah Rukh Khan is...
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh, my God. He's the Indian Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
You want to talk about talented? The only thing the guy can't do is sing. Like, everything else is incredible watching him perform. So, but I agree. I love going back to RRR. He was always so good.
Oh, so good.
And he had that really hard job of being like this character that we as an audience love, and then we're like, I don't think we know this character. And then you're like, we didn't, but we kind of did.
Yeah. Well, and the amazing thing is, the more I watch these movies, the more RRR stands out as just this anomaly of incredibleness, because it has, these other Tollywood movies I've watched, they have some of the, like, typical, I'm using air quotes, what you think of Indian cinema. Over the top acting, the dance numbers are good, not great. Mm-hmm. They don't really have, like, the dance numbers don't really have much to do with the story. Mm-hmm. To where RRR, all the musical numbers had a direct impact in everything that's going on in the story.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. Like, that to me is like, holy crap. Like, that's what... But it makes... Everything you watch in these movies makes that one stand out so much more. And you're just like... Now I can understand why that is the masterpiece that it is and why everyone thinks it is.
Yeah.
Because these other movies are good, but, man, they just don't even hold a candle.
Yeah.
But I recommend it. Once again, it's on Amazon Prime. It's called Game Changer. It is enjoyable. It has a really good dramatic twist. They kind of do a similar thing to RRR where and Devara actually, where he plays in the flashback his father. And the main thing is his father created a political movement. And because of a stammer he had, he couldn't be the face of it, and then the face of it betrays him. And it's like, there's nothing fun in it, that this part of the story. And it's a very well-written, dramatic component of this. Like I said, to that point, it was mostly kind of a light-hearted movie. It shows Ram's character in modern times he's in love with this girl, but he has anger issues. And he's always fighting people. And she has this song about, dealing with your anger, and as she says, I will never be with you if you're still like this.
If you're like this.
And he figures out the way that he can hold back his anger is by dancing. And so, like, he has this great dance number on a bridge where he stops traffic, and it's just because that's the way he gets out of being mad and wanting to punch everybody. And so, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek. Like, there's a guy, his sidekick in it is a guy that can only walk sideways.
Okay.
And only look, and, like, he can only face one way.
Okay.
And it's like he's, everyone's marching and he's marching sideways. And
it's just like Zoolander.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's funny and it's kind of quirky.
Yeah.
And there are other characters in it who are also very quirky.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But then you get to this heavy dramatic shit. And of course, the violence is violence.
Yeah.
And it is no hold back violence.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where they need to clear. There's a kind of like a January 6th where there's a group belonging to the main bad guy who are trying to interrupt the count of the votes. And Ram and his cohorts stop them with just big trucks.
Yeah.
And they're pretty much plowing over them.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and picking them up and putting them in dump trucks and driving them away, and you're like, holy shit! 2 seconds ago they were dancing about love in this beautiful forest, and now they have these goddamn big backhoes that they're just picking people up.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and you're like, fuck, and because you're watching and you're like, this guy's the good guy, but those people are fucking dead.
Yeah.
I know they're playing it off like they're just unconscious. You're not unconscious with what they just did to you.
No.
You're fucking dead.
Yeah.
And it was weird. It was interesting. But once again, he's super charismatic. The lead actress, I have to look up her name, was also great. I don't think I've seen her in any of the movies before. It's Kiara Advani. She was really good. She was unlike Devara, the love interest in that, which just felt like this kind of trashy pop star. This woman has she plays a doctor, but she has that really classy, but also she's very sexy in the dance scenes and stuff. But it's she did a really, really fine job. I am kind of interested. Before I watched it, I'm not again I don't care about spoilers, so I was looking up reviews to see what I'm getting into. It didn't really review well, and I can understand some of the criticisms, but I don't know if people are expecting RRR now every time they see him. Same thing with Devara. That one didn't get the best reviews either, and it's I'm wondering if they set the bar and now they're putting out these movies, which are enjoyable. They're not at that level, but they're still enjoyable.
Yeah, and
they're getting kind of trashed.
Well, you end up having this kind of, it's the typical reviewer, I don't want to say blowback, but all these people come in with this expectation.
Yeah.
Because this was their gateway. And so every time they see something that's not the gateway, they're like, it's all right. And it, because it's not this, it has the same problem that Tears of the Kingdom has for me, which is that every time anybody's like, but look at this, I'm like, yeah, but Breath of the Wild's pretty great, right? And it's you can't help that you've been built on the shoulders of giants.
True.
So
True.
It's you can't be criticized for just being there unless you are. I take that back. There's several people in real life world that I can think of who were born on the shoulders of giants, and I'm just like, maybe you should get down.
It kind of reminds me of, remember Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
Oh, yeah.
And when that came out, everyone was like, oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And then they didn't watch any other Hong Kong movies.
Yeah.
And that frustrated me because I'm like, listen, I liked Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but at that point, I had seen so many Hong Kong movies that were better in many ways. And I'm like, man, I wish people would just, I know that, like you said, it's your gateway. You got to open up the floodgates and start looking at other things.
There's so many other things here than the one thing.
Yeah.
Because, you follow Crouching Tiger down, and it's you go Crouching Tiger, you have Hero with Jet Li, which was really good, and then you get House of Flying Daggers, which is still pretty good, but, all of these are diminishing returns in some way. And it also fully ignores anything that's not wire work Chinese martial arts specifically.
And I tried to tell at that point, a lot of the people who were, becoming fans of Chow Yun-fat because he had done some American movies by then. He did The Replacement Killers. He did that awful Dragon Ball Z movie.
Oh yeah, he did.
He did that one with
Bulletproof
Marky Mark.
Monk.
Bulletproof Monk.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance, have you seen any of his movies, his Hong Kong movies?
Chow Yun-fat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I told people, I'm like, go watch A Better Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Go watch The Killer. Go watch Hard Boiled.
Oh God, Hard Boiled.
And it's like people, you tell them all these, and like A Better Tomorrow is a spectacular movie.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good, and you're like, just go watch them, and people are like, eh.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, it was harder back then to find them. Now it's a lot easier on streaming. Like, I typed in Game Changer. I don't know if I'd be able to find it. I knew it came out this year. And there it is on Amazon Prime just to watch. I'm
quick and easy. Yeah. No, I mean, this is the future. Is like, back in my day.
Back in your day.
You would try and find anime, and it was impossible to find, which was why dubs were always bad, and subtitles were kind of haphazard because they were all fan-made.
Oh, yeah.
And, any international films were very much like that unless they were nominated for Oscars. So it was always kind of fly-by-night if you wanted to find something.
Oh, I remember the dub for the theatrical release of Rumble in the Bronx was so fucking laughably bad.
It's not good.
It was
seen
so
it. It's
bad.
What was the one that I saw that I was like, this is... Oh, Hard Boiled. Hard Boiled has a fun
I've never
English
seen
dub.
a dub version. I've just seen the...
It's just funny because you end up with these lines of dialogue. Like, at one point, Chow Yun-fat goes into a room and warns everybody in the room, woe betide anybody in this room. And my dad just stopped and was, woe betide? Woe betide? And it was just full of that kind of thing of just like, wait, you said what now?
Yeah.
You want to go back and run that by me again?
Oh,
okay.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
That is so funny. But that's what I got. I was excited about those two topics.
Yeah.
Because rarely do I have two things that...
You can come in with a lot of excitement.
Like, this is full guns. Full guns blaring.
Yeah, excitement.
So on to you, my friend. What do you got going on?
So I'm going to touch on two things really quick while I'm thinking of it. I guess three things because, since you brought up Game Changer, anybody who watches Dropout, if you don't watch Dropout, start watching Dropout because it will instantly make your life better.
Okay.
But their Game Changer season this year is... not all bangers, but like 98% bangers.
Really?
It's like
now. Where can you find Game Changer?
You have to go on to dropout.tv.
It is on Dropout.
So you can only watch it on Dropout. They do have some episodes on YouTube, but I mean it's like $6 a month.
Oof,
and
that's not bad.
Yeah, exactly. And you can pay for the whole year for like $50, and they let you share it with as many people as you want. So it's like they're the anti-streaming service.
Nice. I like that.
They do revenue sharing with all the people that work on their stuff.
Really?
So at the end of the day, at the end of the year, they send out checks to everybody who's done any projects with them over the course of the year.
Oh, that's awesome.
For revenue sharing. I mean, like, they're a great company. And anybody who knows Robert Reich, it's run by his son, Sam Reich.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so... which I didn't know for the longest time and was hilarious to find out. Anyway, so Game Changer is great. They recently had an episode where you had 8 drunk women trying to figure out which one of them wasn't drunk. And
that's so weird.
It's fucking great.
That's amazing.
It's great. But what I was actually going to talk about was, one, I wanted to touch on in the continuance of my anime-a-thon, me and Kelly have been watching Delicious in Dungeon.
Okay.
Which I don't think I've talked about on the show, but if I have, I'm going to talk about it again. So it's an anime on Netflix, but it is a dungeon trawler fantasy.
Okay.
So you have a party, there's a elf, a halfling, and a human. They are going through a dungeon, and they keep on having issues where they run out of food. So in the build of the world, dungeons are kind of an ecosystem unto themselves. And so towns have to hire adventurers to go into the dungeons and take care of the bigger monsters so they don't come out of the dungeon and bother the town. So it's an interesting kind of idea, but this means that you have this whole commerce of adventurers coming and going into a dungeon to go and do whatever. It's a very interesting show in that the plot lines do have that kind of anime flavor of like every episode is 2 15-minute stories basically. And, very classic anime. People from different walks of life don't want to do something, they try it, turns out it's great. The thing that makes this interesting is that it's all about food. Specifically the issue that they keep encountering is that the further they go into the dungeon, the less supplies they have.
Okay.
So they can't go too far because they have to leave. So they find a dwarf who is learned in the way of cooking the monsters that exist in the dungeon.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the show becomes about finding monsters and trying to figure out how you can cook them. And every episode has multiple meals. So you have at least 2 meals per episode, and they'll do like these preparation, like, okay, so we're going to take, this haunted armor. And it turns out that this haunted armor is more like a shellfish than it is anything else. So what you need to do is you need to go into the joint and you open it up, and in there is where you actually find the meat of the monster. That's where the monster actually is. So you have to take that out. You cook it like you do oysters. But like every episode is like this.
Breath of the Wild right there.
Yeah. But every episode is like this. So it's like, okay, so here are these little mushroom things that run around and they cause trouble. So it's easy enough to slice them up and cook them, but then you also have like a cockatrice. What are we going to do with this? You have mandrakes. How are we going to deal with the mandrakes? We have these giant bats. What are we going to do with the giant bats? We have kelpies. What are we going to do with kelpies? And so it's always interesting because it comes back to, okay, we have this problem. We're going to kill the monster and cook it.
How old is this show?
This show came out, I think, like a year and a half ago.
Because I'm wondering if they did get inspired from Breath of the Wild and said, this is a cool idea doing... Because you're doing that. I mean, cooking monster parts.
Yeah, exactly. And so
genius.
It's really fun. I will say the food tutorials do get a little old because there's 2 per episode. Uh-huh. So like the basic structure is this linear story where every segment is its own part of the story, but it's also enclosed in this little bubble of this 15-minute segment. Mm-hmm. So you'll have like an episode where you have the dwarf doesn't like magic and doesn't trust magic.
Okay.
But they have to cross a pool of water. And the only way to do it is to use magic to allow them to walk on the water, which is fine. They have an elf who's a magician. That's fine. Easy peasy. But the dwarf won't let them use magic. And when he finally relents after a lot of back and forth and trouble and a monster attack, it turns out that he's too filthy to have magic used on him.
Really?
The amount of just residue and monster bile and gunk and stuff that's in his beard and hair is so much that magic just won't stick to him.
Oh, that's funny.
And so they have to clean him. And it's like, okay, so that's one segment. And then the next segment is they find a big kraken, and now they got to figure out what they're going to do with the kraken, but it's also about environmentalism and what the ecosystem of a dungeon really is. And it's like, okay, so this is all interesting and it is moving towards a goal, but it does kind of get bogged down because every like 7 or 8 minutes you have to stop and kill a monster and then cook it. And we're going to go through the instructions on how we're going to cook the monster and then the reaction of everybody eating it. And it's just like, okay, this is a great concept. You need to clean it up just a whisper because this becomes so much of the show. Like of a 22-minute long episode, I would say at least 8 minutes of it are them cooking and eating.
Oh yeah, that's annoying.
And so it's just like, okay, that I can't deal with that ratio.
Yeah.
That ratio doesn't work for me. We have to figure out something else. But it's also very clever in that way that I'm realizing a lot of anime is, where it's all about world building. So the main crux, the big issue that they're trying to resolve is that the human knight's character, his sister was eaten by a dragon at the beginning of the first episode.
Okay.
So you're like, oh, that's bad, right? There's your motivation. But also kind of it becomes a journey because it turns out that the dragon that ate her has a digestive system so slow that they can still save her. So the basic idea of the show is we have to find this red dragon before it starts digesting my sister.
Okay.
But this, again, when you start getting bogged down in all of these, like, okay, let's stop and cook a gourmet meal, you're like, okay, I do feel like we're kind of counteracting our own storyline of, like, this is supposed to be very important. We're supposed to be doing this in a quick manner, but at the same time, we can absolutely take our time. And so going kind of back to Breath of the Wild, it's like how everybody's like, go save Zelda. And Link's like, yeah, well, I got it. I got time.
Yeah.
I got time. It's fine. I got
explosives for
Yeah. So it does have that kind of feel of like, I thought we were on a clock.
Yeah.
And now we're not. So like, I just want to make sure that I understand the importance of what's happening, because if you establish that there is a clock, that's fine. I guess what they've done is they've established that there's an 8-week clock for this dragon to digest. Like, I'm just pulling a number out of thin air, but like some huge amount of time where like you can really take your time and there is no rush or panic over, hey, is she going to get, digested before we get to her? So it just a little critique about the style of the show. I do enjoy it quite a lot. I think it's really, really fun. Okay. And I think the characters are really interesting. It is kind of like we were talking about gateways. It's kind of a gateway anime.
Okay.
And that everything is very stereotypical. And so you have like the halfling is, of course, the one that solves all the traps, but he's also kind of annoyed about everybody else, going around and stomping their big feet and doing their thing, and especially the dwarf. And the dwarf is always wrong in someone's eyes and then proven to be right. And again, it gets kind of tropey in that way of like, this just keeps happening, and you're like, okay, all right, that's fine. I think we need to raise the level of writing just a little bit, because it's really high concept. It just doesn't deliver. Something that's high concept and deliver. I'm going to continue my review of Attack on Titan.
Oh, nice.
Because, oh my God, I've been inhaling this.
Really?
Because it is, my buddy Buckert came by and we watched My Hero this weekend, which was great. We drank more soda than we've drank since we were 12 years old.
Nice.
it was a great time. We were talking about Attack on Titan because he had introduced me to it, or reintroduced me to it. And he walked in and he was like, there's no way you're this far in the show. I was like, I couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
This was incredible. It's probably the best writing of anything
really
I've seen. Like, if I'm just being indiscriminate, in a very long time. Like, if we actually drill down to it, but it has that gusto of an anti-war story told extremely well. And it is like Grave of the Fireflies level of, man, war is awful. War is always bad for everybody. It's never good for anybody. No one ever wins. It's always bad. You're always compromising your morality and your humanity towards some greater goal. And whatever you tell yourself to keep it so you can sleep at night, that doesn't change the fact that what you've done makes you a monster. And Titan just goes through this process of showing us this in so many different ways and at so many different levels, whether it's politically, we get into like the politics of this world and how, whereas Andor really smacked us over the head with the propaganda.
Yeah.
The way that this does propaganda is by showing the results of it. So it tells us a bunch of stuff up top and we're like, okay, that's the way the world is. And then as you get through the story, you start learning like, no, this has been lies on top of lies on top of lies on top of lies for generations. And on top of that, there's magic, creating a whole other level of trouble. But all of a sudden, these things that you were just, it's not an unreliable narrator. The narrator genuinely thought the things that they were telling you was true. It just ends up being that none of it's true.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so now you have to re-examine everything that you came into it with. It's one of those stories where the further into it you get, the more you're like, I just don't understand, because that can't happen unless what he said wasn't true.
Yeah.
And if what he said wasn't true, then that changes everything. And so once you get to that moment, you're like, oh, it changes everything.
And the more you've talked about this, I got to get Crunchyroll. I got to watch this.
It's on Hulu. Check it out on Hulu. It's on the Hulu.
Okay.
Both the dub and the sub are on Hulu. But it is, man, it's an incredible show just in the way that it characterizes people.
Okay.
So I don't want to go into any spoiler, but basically you end up finding out that they're like the level of vitriol between the races in this story is biblical. Like worse than our world, which is saying something.
That is saying something.
And like just this idea that in the minds of some, certain people are irrefutably evil, and they are evil because generationally their ancestors were evil, and so they are evil, and there's no way that they can't be evil, and they just need to be wiped off the face of the earth for everybody's betterment. And the way Titan approaches that concept it turns it into this amorphous ball where it's like, oh, we all agree that this is bad, right? Well, what if I show you the other side of the orb? What does that look like? And what if I show you the orb from this person's perspective? What does that look like? And it's just so fascinating because the entire time you're watching, you're just like, there are some characters where you're like, I don't understand. And I'm so mad at you because the decisions you've made have been so tragic. And there's no way that you can explain this to me in a way where I'm going to be like, okay, I get it. And it doesn't. But it does that thing that it happens in real life. It doesn't explain it in such a way that you're like, okay, I get it. It explains it in such a way so you're like, oh, you're just a terrible fucking person. And as you go through the story, more people end up getting swept into that as they try and control the flow of everything that's happening in the world around them. And it's an absolutely outrageously great storyline. The animation is second to none. The fight scenes got me like up and cheering. Like there were some moments where I cheered harder than I ever did at any Marvel project. Oh, fuck. And so like, and I've cheered at Marvel projects. Yeah. Listen, I have said to numerous people that when Thor shows up in Infinity War, I came in the theater. Yeah. When
I'm glad I didn't see that one with you.
When Cap gets the hammer, I stood up and cheered like everybody else. The way that they do fights in this, again, you like I said last week, you do have this element of it's a really good thing that we can have this terse conversation between 5 people and just keep going in a straight line while we're being chased by monsters, because that's what's happening. We don't have time to get this exposition out at another point. I gotta start watching this. We're just gonna do it while we're getting chased by this thing. But it's just so great. And the more you start taking it apart, the more you're like, Jesus Christ, there was stuff that I was learning today when I was watching it in season 4. I'm at like season 4, episode 11. And at this point, I'm still being told things where I'm like, oh my God. So wait, that means, and then you go back through every moment in the show and you're like, wait, oh my God, that reframes everything. That's why this person did this over and over again. It wasn't because like everybody's like, oh, it's love. Oh, it's this. No, it's something else entirely. And you're like, holy shit. God damn it. Wow. So I can't speak highly of it enough. Nice. It is a great show. It does this incredible thing with season 4. Oh, this was the other thing that I wanted to talk about. My big complaint with Andor was that they went into my bank of nerd and they said, we would like to purchase 4 one-year time jumps. Oh, yeah. And I said, I don't know about this. This seems bad. I don't know if I can do this for you, man. I don't feel good about this. I don't like that the way that we're going about this. I don't trust it. I don't like it. And we they did their thing with it. I gave them my grade and we went about our business. How often have I come on the show and complained about time jumps and been like, fucking time jumps, and they ruin the flow for me and they take me out of the moment. Stranger Things. I'm like, when's the time jump? How's it going to be done? What's going to happen? Yeah. Attack on Titan had a 4-year time jump. And I was like, good, go. Do whatever you want with it. It was... I gave them the full line of credit on it because it was done so well. Interesting. Without giving away any spoilers, the 3rd season ends with us getting the answers to all the questions we've been asking this whole time. It's a 3-episode arc just about answering questions of what the hell was in Eren Yeager's basement. The next episode, the first episode of season 4, takes place 4 years later. And again, it's one of those shows that does that thing that I hate, where they're like, can you believe it's only been 4 weeks since we left basic training? And I'm like, usually I hate it when people do that. I hate it because it takes me right out of it. It's like when in Doctor Strange, when he's like, I've been here a year and I've mastered everything. I'm like, fuck you. Yeah. you put a clock on it. That sucks. Yeah, that's true. Okay. You need to not put a clock on it, because then it just has this amorphous, like, it took place over the course of, I don't know how long, a few months, who knows? Yeah. So when you say like, oh, this took place over the course of 4 weeks, I'm like, that means a lot. Attack on Titan, you believe it. Yeah. You're like, yeah, I buy that this took place over the course of 4 or 5 weeks. 100%. And then there's a 4-year time jump after that. And I'm like, yeah, makes sense. This is the way the story should be told. This makes sense. And then what do they do after they buy that time jump? They still show you what happened in between the time jump. They still give you that information. They still take the time aside to be like, okay, all right, I know a lot of stuff has been going on and everything's crazy. And we're like, whoa, hang on. I thought our heroes were heroes. And now I don't know if anybody's heroic in this story anymore. What happened during that 4 years? And they're like, well, let's tell you about those 4 years. And man, it's so satisfying. The storytelling is so well done, and it does all the things that no one else does. In that, it's the opposite of Marvel. Marvel's like 5 years, and we're like, Jesus, 5 years? And they're like, don't worry about it. Titan is like 4 years, and we're like, oh, okay. And then they bring us back behind the curtain. They're like, okay, so this is what happened. And this is this, and this is this, and this is what this means, and this is how this happened, and this is where this is going, and that's what this happened, and that's why this person's here, and that's where this is going, and that's what this is. And you're just like, this is perfect storytelling. This is so good. On top of it just being this amazing anti-war story, this amazing human story, a dope-ass fucking action piece about fighting giants. Like, it's fucking great. I can't speak highly enough of it. I'm so glad I went back and finished it because it is absolutely great. It's
how many
capitally
episodes
great.
per season?
So they fluctuate, but they round around about 22 episodes per season.
Oh wow!
So it's like 20. So it's
are they half hour or hour?
They're about half hour.
Okay. So
it's like 25-minute episodes, and then it's broken out. I don't know why anime does this, but it's broken out. Season 1, Season 1.5, Season 2, Season 3, Season 3.5, Season 4, Season 4.5.
Sounds like what they did with Kingdom Hearts back in the 3DS
Yeah. So you have like these big breaks in between each section. But now it's all out, so you can just watch the whole thing. The second season is 13 episodes. All the other ones are 20, average out to about 22 episodes. Man, I love it. It's great. I would highly recommend to anybody.
I tell you, I'll probably start watching it tonight.
Yeah, it's good. It's good
because
stuff.
I do listen to you, and I can prove that. This week I watched Grandma's Boy. Because after we talked about it, I'm like, I haven't seen it in a while. Goddamn.
Yeah.
Thank you, Al, for reminding me about that movie.
It's a wonder and a
Laughed
joy.
my ass off the whole time.
It's so good. Dante's whole everything.
Dante everything, yes.
It's Dante. It's his witch doctor friend.
Oh, yeah. Doctor... oh God, Shalaka
something I can't remember. But just what the best thing about Grandma's Boy is, I just remember watching it under the influence, and the moment when he starts talking about the monkey, and I was like, I better get a monkey in a fucking karate gi.
No, you do.
Not only do you get a funky monkey in a karate gi, he comes flying down the stairs and front kicks our main character. And the character comes in the next scene. I can't remember his fucking name, but he comes in the next scene with a big black eye, and it's just like, this is
Alex
again, Alex.
Well, I mean, that whole final scene at Dante's when he comes in and says, "Roll us all together," and he says, "Well, I'll go to the devil's house with you." And he looks at the monkey and says, "Don't judge me, monkey." And then when they're playing video games and the TV, there's nothing on it, and it's him and the monkey. Yeah. And then the monkey driving the car makes me laugh so fucking hard. Yeah. Because it is the craziest shit. Yeah. And I love it.
I just love the logic of, oh, well, what do you do when you have a karate fighting monkey? And he gets loose. You gotta get the king of the jungle on that. That's how you solve that problem.
And that scene where he's talking to the reporters, the funniest.
Someone brought a lion into the neighborhood.
Look up, it's the fucking king of the jungle. So good.
Yeah.
All right. So what else you got?
The Wicked for Good trailer dropped. Have you seen this?
No.
It does look really good. It made Kelly cry, so that's a great sign.
What is it exactly?
This is just Wicked Part 2.
Oh, Wicked Part 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it the same? Is it a movie, or is it the same actors?
Same actors. It's just the second part of so it's all the same characters. It's just a continuation of that story, continuation and finale of that story. Okay. So we get all the way to Dorothy by the end of the story, and it looks really good. Yeah. It looks really, really good. And after the first one, I'm all in. The Wicked movie was my first like real introduction. I heard the soundtrack, but like when you're listening to a Broadway soundtrack on record, it's a great experience. It's not like going to the show.
Exactly.
And so there's a lot of moments of Kelly explaining like, oh, and this happened in the interlude, and then this happened, and then this happened. So when I watched the movie, it was this great experience, but I still only got half the story.
Yes.
And so there's still the other half of the story where it's like, I know some of the music from the second half of the movie, or from the second half of the show. I really want to know more context for those moments. So I'm very, very curious and interested in all of this.
And it'll make $1 million.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's one of the many things coming out this November, baby bear.
Oh, there's so much stuff coming out.
That was the other thing I wanted to talk about. Did you hear the news today?
No.
We won and we lost. HBO Discovery will now dissolve. They're going back to being Warner Brothers and Discovery.
Really?
They will no longer be Warner Brothers Discovery. They will be two separate entities under one banner.
Okay.
So Discovery will handle all the cable stuff, which has been tragically failing.
Oh, it's terrible.
Since the merger.
Yeah.
And HBO will now do all the streaming service stuff. So great. That's what we wanted, right? That was what we wanted. We all win. Well.
Oh, no.
The Dinkins is still in charge of the streaming service.
Okay.
So David Zaslav, who was the guy that got rid of Batgirl, he was the guy that got rid of all the stuff that you wanted to see that you never got to see. He will just fully. It's not even like this project is going to be distributed quietly. It never existed. It's gone. Because they write it off as a tax write-off. It has to be fully destroyed. So he's still running HBO Max. He's the one that wanted to get rid of HBO and just call it the Max. He's the one that brought it back. He is the one that makes all the bad decisions. He's still running the streaming platform. I was hoping he was going to go back and run Discovery because he was the one that turned TLC into what it is, that turned History into what it is, that turned Discovery Channel into what it is. These stations that used to be about something and no longer are.
Like, I give Amazon credit because they got rid of that woman, I can't remember her name, who was in charge of content creation, who gave us all the Chris Pratt movies and the Lord of the Rings. She got fired because they're like, you're making shit. And more streaming services have to follow that lead. Like, listen, you're making crap.
Yeah.
You can't do it anymore.
You got to stop with this, man.
Yes.
No, it's Sony with their non-Spider-Man Spider movies. It's Disney with their live-action remakes. It's Star Wars with their acolytes. It's this idea of we're reinventing the wheel, baby. Everything's on the table. No, it's not. No, it's not, and no, you're not. First off, everybody is starting to realize that this is just cable. It is no longer cable a la carte like what it was supposed to be. It has just become cable.
Yeah.
And second, what do you actually make in a given year that's so great that I should be giving all this money to you for the entire year?
Yeah.
Like, so few times is there ever a product where I'm like, yes, take all of my money. Do this. I have a bunch of streaming services because I don't like having to hunt for stuff. And so I'll have streaming services for that reason. I also, over 10 years ago, bought a bunch of streaming services and gave them to my family as gifts. And so I'm still trying to keep that boat afloat. So there's a lot of streaming services that I've thought about getting rid of that I haven't gotten rid of as a result of that. But like, I look at HBO Max and it's just them going back to HBO Max again. I'm just like, you're fucking dumb and you don't understand why everybody knows you're dumb. We don't think you're dumb. We know you're dumb. Okay? We know you're a fucking idiot. Everybody can see it. All right? You knew it. You knew when you made this decision to go back to HBO Max because of course it didn't work. You took a brand name that's been around since the fucking 80s and you were like, we don't need this shit anymore. We're the Max. It's like, no, you're fucking not. Pepsi's the Max. Everybody knows that Pepsi's the Max, okay? Or MTV's the Max, that purple monster that was an animated character.
Yeah. Well, and what we talked about last week is brand recognition. Yeah. Everyone knows HBO.
Everybody knows HBO. No.
Because I heard Max and I thought of Cinemax.
Yeah.
So it's like, that was the number one competitor. I think actually, I think Showtime was kind of in third. Yeah. But back in the 80s, it was HBO, then Cinemax. Yeah. And it's like, when there's you call it the Max...
There's a reason why they call it Skinamax.
Yes, exactly.
Okay? Like, this has already been...
And let me tell you, I always wanted Cinemax because of that.
Yeah.
And we never got it.
But like this has all been litigated.
Yeah.
We're not relitigating it again 40 years later, okay? This is all done. And there's nothing to be done about it. You're not going to suddenly Jedi mind trick us all into thinking that HBO was always the max. No. Just call it HBO. Kleenex doesn't change their name to something else.
Yes.
You have to be like a genuinely stupid person like Elon Musk to be given a brand name and then be like, I don't want this shit. Get it out of here.
And people still call it by the old name.
Yeah.
In the millions.
Well, for me at least, it's out of vindictiveness.
Yes.
I'm just like, no.
Well, I'm
still
so
fucking
vindictive.
Twitter.
I've never been on the platform, so there you go.
I refuse to get on it. I tried to get on it in college in 2012, and I was like, this is dumb.
Oh, it's so stupid. All social media. I
can't do it.
Now that I've been 100% off social media for like, it's been, I think, a solid 6 months.
Yeah.
It's the best thing.
Yeah.
Not looking at it every day, not worrying. It's so
liberating.
liberating.
I agree. There is like, I don't go on Facebook anymore. The only thing I have when it comes to FOMO with Facebook is when people do genuinely set up stuff and do it through Facebook that I'm friends with and I didn't know about it because I'm not on Facebook anymore. Like, that's the only moment. But, like, I'll go on there and it'll be like, you have 10 notifications. I'm like, no, I fucking don't.
Yeah.
And I'll look at it. No, none of these are notifications. This is just like other people are using the platform. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So
I don't fucking care, man.
So stupid.
So, yeah, no.
I do have to say there was one new trailer that gave me a full-on Woody from Toy Story. And there is the new trailer for Strange New Worlds. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't seen the new trailer, no.
So July 17th
is
when the season, and it really gives you a look at the action.
Good, because that was what I thought was missing from the last trailer.
It looks so good, Al. I was so excited.
Because the last trailer was like all comedy.
Yeah.
Which everybody knows Stranger New Worlds if you don't know because you don't listen to us for some stupid reason.
Yeah.
Stranger New Worlds usually runs on a serious comedy.
Yep.
So the first trailer was all comedy and I was like, where's the serious?
Dude, the action scenes look so good.
Yeah.
But once again, I watch them and I'm like, how are they doing these special effects with no money?
Yeah.
Because they have half the budget most of Disney Plus shows have.
Yeah.
And it looks 1,000 times
Oh my
better.
God. I wish Disney Plus would not have the budgets that they have.
Yeah.
Make people actually do things with minimal budgets because it becomes a problem-solving thing.
Well, we talked about it earlier. The movie RRR, $78 million is what the budget was for that fucking gorgeous movie that took 360 some odd days to shoot. So.
A given episode of The Acolyte is like $110+ million.
Yeah.
Just one episode.
So there you go, folks.
Money well spent.
All right.
What was the other thing I wanted to bring up because I was feeling sassy? There was one
Sassy
other
pants?
thing.
Al's got sassy pants on.
I got my sassy pants on.
Should have a segment, Al's sassy pants.
Every week, baby.
All right, folks. So now we're talking. We got the main event, which is the new Predator animated movie on Hulu.
Hot drop. Killer of Killers.
Killer of Killers. It's going to take something really impressive to take this out of my movie of the year.
Yeah, you like this one?
This was so fucking good.
This was everything we love in movies.
It just makes me mad that they're not making all the Predator movies animated.
Yeah.
The animation was great. The storytelling, I love how they broke it into 3 segments and then brought it together at the end.
And man, that denouement at the end, whew, so good.
And it's like the whole, okay, so the basis of the story, folks, is they have 3 different scenes. One is in the Viking, it's like 700 AD.
Yeah.
One is in feudal Japan. And one is during World War II.
Yeah.
And there's 3 different people that survive these battles with the predators that attack them in these different timelines.
They don't just survive, they end up killing
the
predator.
predator. And they all end up on this ship. And you're wondering, how are they all...
There's some time travel.
There's some time drop, but then they explain it at the end, which will be spoilers.
Yeah,
so there will be spoilers in this. But so I love how they break it down. So they break it down shield, sword, bullet.
Oh, it's so good.
The shield one is...
Oh, my God.
Dude.
It's so good. Because I thought it was going to be one of those stories of like, oh, Anders, the little boy, he doesn't know how to be a man. His mom's not going to take him.
Holy crap.
Ooh.
So the mom is the shield maiden.
Yeah.
Who is the brutal leader of this band of Vikings who go to kill and attack this other band of Vikings because the leader of this band forced her to kill her father.
Yeah.
back
when
40, 50 years ago when she was a kid. And it is so violent.
Yes, it is.
Like, she lops a dude in half who's hanging up and they're torturing him.
Yeah.
And you see this guts fall, and like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But the action is fucking unbelievable.
When she starts fighting with two shields that have blades on them, I was like, I've been waiting for so long,
dude,
for someone to realize that they can do this, because I've seen that in video games. Yeah. I haven't seen it in a movie yet, and man, it was cool.
And it's cool because all three Predator designs are different.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
Yeah,
they are so fucking awesome.
And not only that, there's a technological jump in between each of them too.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see, like, not only is there this progression in terms of the human technology, but there's this progression in terms of what the Predators can do.
Yes.
I mean, like, there's some stuff that's always there. They always have the heat vision. That's still the constant. The invisibility.
Camouflaging, yep.
But, like, the Predator that has to reset the sonic arm.
Yeah, so it's like a sonic battering ram.
Yeah, he's clearly lost an arm at some point, and they've replaced it with this, like, concussive blast firing. I don't even know what you would call it.
That whole fucking fight scene between her and the Predator was so fucking amazing.
Well, and it was so great because, like, they did something that we don't see a lot in American media.
Yes.
But that we had, me and Buckert, my buddy, when we watch anime, he brings up all the time, which is that in so many things in American media, you end up in this situation where two people are fighting and they're interrupted by some new piece of information.
Yes.
That changes the structure of the fight, or stops the fight, or stops it before it happens. And that way you don't have to have a winner to the fight.
Yeah.
In anime, there's always a winner to the fight. Yes. The fight always ends. The other thing is also happening, but it doesn't stop the fight before the fight is determined.
Yes.
The fights are always determined in this movie. When it's the Vikings versus the Vikings, we get to see that whole progression. Not just at the first camp. She goes to the first camp. The guy she wants to kill isn't there.
Yeah.
They torture a guy, cut him in half, find out where he is, go to a second camp, kill the Viking, and then the Predator attacks.
But what I loved was, in that little break between the two fights, they're camping, and the Predator's just watching them. And that is so fucking awesome. Yeah. He's just sitting there watching them.
He found his prey. He knows what he's going to do. He's just waiting.
That was genius.
Yeah. And that, like, again, the subversion of, like, oh, this is going to be one of those stories where Anders can't be a man.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to torture the guy to get information out of him. And he won't cut him in half. And his mom has to step up and do it for him. No. Anders is gone.
Yeah.
Anders gets a building dropped on him.
Yeah. Well, before that, he cuts off the head of the guy they're after.
Oh, that was great.
So it's like he isn't the shy. Yeah. Like, he fucking...
When his mom is having a moment of, like, she's falling back into her own being a little girl, and Anders comes in and is like, no, we're not fucking doing this.
But before that, when they're attacking the second camp, she's about to get axed, and he steps in and fucking slaughters the dude, and then starts killing people alongside of her.
Yeah.
And just like you're saying, I had that feeling almost like How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he doesn't want to... No, he gets out of that really quick.
Yeah.
And, dude.
And you know what I also love? Anders has no dialogue.
No.
All of this is just through looks and inference. And speaking of looks and inference...
His dialogue really is when he's dying at the end.
Yeah.
He says... Did you kill it?
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, it's so fucking good.
And that scene where she's under the ice and it's just...
Yes!
God, there's just immediately so many amazing moments.
And it's like the Predator lore where he's on the ice looking, but since she's so cold being in the frozen water, he can't see her.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
But like right here in this first vignette, I was already sold.
Yeah.
I'm like, the rest of this could be dog shit. This first part was so fucking good. But then, how can you one-up Vikings, but with a shogun and a fucking ninja fighting a Predator?
And Anders has no dialogue. No one has dialogue until the very end.
Yes.
No one says anything in this entire segment.
God. It was fucking spectacular.
And again, you don't need it. You don't need any dialogue. You get everything that's going on. You get that, this is two sons that were supposed to take over for the father, who's a samurai.
That fucking mean-ass douchebag wants them to fight each other. One son says, I won't fight you. The other son says, well, I will. And
the one son is banished, and he just wants to prove to himself and to his brother that, yes, he is still something.
And he's the one that becomes the ninja.
Yeah.
And so the father dies, and he hears the gong, so he comes back in his ninja garb. And that scene where he's fighting and trying to be silent, and he's holding the guard by the leg.
And he keeps on knocking people out and trying to stop them from falling over.
From hitting the bell.
Yeah.
And then the guy in the air tower rings the bell, and he's like, oh, shit.
Fuck.
And then just drops the dude. I was like, that is the greatest fucking thing. And it's like, in the beautiful red of the dust that he throws to hide himself is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And the animation was so smooth and so beautiful. Good. But then just to see the two brothers, one a ninja, one a samurai, attacking this predator.
Yeah.
Dude.
It was so good.
It was so good.
Even moments where, it might make some people roll their eyes, I was fully in. When the samurai brother is putting on his gear, and it's not like some ceremonial thing. He basically like rolls over it and puts it on when he rolls over it.
Yeah.
And like, again, very video game.
Yeah.
A lot of this movie has a lot of video game tropes in it, but like very video game of just like, oh, he equipped it and it's on. And he doesn't have to like take the 20 minutes it takes to put it on. Exactly. Yeah. So I, that's a moment where I could see someone being like, I loved it. I was just like, he stands up and he just puts on the helmet and he's fully in the armor and you're like, I don't care. Yeah. You know what? I don't care. And moments before that where he's just putting on like one piece of the arm, the bracer so he can stop, certain attacks. And he puts on one shoulder pad and one, and it's just, it was so cool.
Dude.
It was so cool.
It was so fucking beautiful. And it's so great.
And then the look that the brother has when he gets to that moment where he has essentially won.
Yeah.
And he just cuts his brother's cheek. And that was it. That was all he wanted to do.
That's all he wanted to do.
And then his brother falls through an old wooden rack
and
into the moat. And you're like, oh, shit. Yeah. Well, fuck. And you can just see it, again, in his face. Just immediately you can see, like, I didn't want this.
Yeah.
I never wanted to kill him. I never wanted to really hurt him. I wanted to prove.
Because in the beginning, it shows before they had that fight, they were brothers. Like, they loved each other. They had fun. They were having good, enjoyment together.
Yeah.
And that's what made the final scene. So they fight the predator. The Shogun brother gets mortally wounded. The other one just gets like shot in the shoulder. And they're both kneeling, looking off in the distance, and the Shogun just falls over.
Well, I love that the segment begins with leaves are born together but fall apart.
Apart, yes.
And when the ninja brother is just sitting with him and he's just like, you're not alone.
Yeah, you're not alone.
I'm here too. And then he falls.
Oh my god. Dude, this movie, I can't get over how great this fucking movie was.
Yeah.
Like, and then I mean the weakest in my opinion, but it was still good.
Still good was the World War II.
The World War II, because you get this kid who is kind of a douchebag, and his father, he wants his dad to help him do everything for him, and the father says, well, you got to grow up, and he gives him his draft certificate.
Yeah.
Like, you're drafted, you're going to fucking war.
Yeah.
And you're
Cut to this guy on an airship fixing planes in the Atlantic Ocean.
Yes.
Which is a very important piece of information that we need. And also not something you see a whole lot. You don't really see a lot of Atlantic North African naval combat in storylines. But so he's fixing a plane. His CO, who is Michael Biehn.
Yes. Which is awesome.
Is like, I'll let you fly. If you can fly it, if that starts, you can fly it.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I got this. It doesn't start. Again, a small weakness in this storyline is that we are shown that his father is a mechanic.
Yes.
And he just has this agency built over time where he can just sit in a car and knows what the problem is.
Yeah.
He can just listen to the engine and he immediately knows what the problem is. And we're made to believe that this kid is going to be able to do the same thing with planes and just figure out what the problem is. And I'm like, I don't believe that for a second. That's not, no way. The dad is like 60 and he's been doing this forever.
And that's the problem. Is like the lead character was the weakest part of the story.
Yeah.
Because the fact that they changed up the combat to aerial combat with, old World War II fighters planes against this super advanced alien spaceship was fucking awesome.
It was really cool.
And dude, some of the kills, like the one that he shot the net over the plane and it just
sliced it.
And it's like you see the body parts falling. You're like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
that was amazing.
Every time it spears an engine and pulls it out,
yes,
it never gets old. No. It never, ever gets old. And again, this makes me go back to Disney and be like, I want a Wedge Antilles show that has dogfighting as its only action source.
But after seeing this, I want it to be animated.
Yes, absolutely animated. I stop making live action Star Wars until we can figure it out.
Yes.
Until we can figure it out, stop making it. Same for Marvel. You can make as many animated things as you want. Stop making anything live action until we can figure this out. But like again, the things that this shows you what you can do with animation.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
You can do anything with animation. And I know a lot of people are like, you can do anything with CGI. Yeah, but there's always that moment of, but how does it look?
Yeah.
Does it look good?
And that's the problem. CGI is animation.
Yeah.
So you're doing animation poorly because you're trying to incorporate live action with it, which makes the animation look bad.
And you're trying to trick us into thinking that it's live action. Instead of us knowing that it's animation and being like, I don't care, I am already invested, in part because it is animation. You know, I can only imagine what it would have taken to shoot some of those dogfighting scenes now. Like, obviously, you would have CGI planes and everything.
Exactly.
But you'd already have so many problems of like, okay, so now we have to work on the reflection of the clouds in the cockpit, and then we have to do this. And when What's-His-Nuts climbs out of his plane to fix something, I'm like, this can only happen in animation.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way anybody would believe it if you did that in a live action setting. I know, because I've seen movies that do similar things, and you're like, sure. But like here, you're like, okay, this is extreme, but I will take it.
Yeah,
I will take
it's a fucking animated.
Yeah, and it's just so brilliant. I loved it so much.
And the transition we keep forgetting to mention is, so after the end of each segment, they show the person who just survived that segment with a collar around their neck, and you see usually just a small part of the next person in the next segment.
Yeah,
and it keeps going on, and then after this final segment, it goes to after the third one, it goes to the final segment, which is the three of them in a ship being brought to this arena.
Yeah.
And it's like this king predator who is so badass.
Yeah.
He's like, you have to kill each other. Whoever survives fights me.
And I loved that their collars had translators for the predator,
but not for each other. Yes.
That was so great.
And what made me love the ninja dude is he never wanted to fight anybody. Of them.
Yeah.
So the American, of course, he's just a natural kind of coward a little bit. So he really didn't want to fight anybody. The Asian guy just wanted them to fight together because he realized when him and his brother fighting together took out the predator. But the fucking Viking's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you,
this all
and then
on
I'm gonna go kill him.
Yeah,
it's like, dude,
he said 2 of you have to die. I am more than happy to kill 2 of you.
She was awesome.
Oh,
I loved her character. And this final segment had my favorite part with the American when he says, I'm giving you a weapon from your time period, and he gives him like a musket gun, and he's like, I don't know this is from my time period. I don't know
what
how to use this.
What are you talking about?
That was funny as hell.
Yeah.
I was laughing my ass off with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole scene was so fucking well done, and the fighting was awesome. And then they brought out like a predator troll kind of.
Yeah, they brought out monsters when they weren't fighting each other.
Fucking cool.
The king was like, well, if you're not going to fight each other, then we're just going to make you fight something bigger until you're dead. And meanwhile, you have the ninjas just like, do you see what we can do? When we're working together.
Because that's the thing, is him and the Vikings start working together.
Yeah.
And they start tearing shit up. I'm leaving the American out because he was swallowed by the troll, and he was kind of doing a Dave Bautista in Guardians of the Galaxy where he's like just stabbing this thing on the inside because he found the gauntlet of a predator that this thing ate. And he figured out how to use it.
Started pushing buttons
and like got their collars off and fucking cut them. And it was like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah. No, I loved it. The big thing with me was that what were the 2 big things about the first 2 segments? Not a lot of dialogue.
Yes.
The American comes in and never stops talking.
Yes.
And you're just like, this would be better if you would just shut up.
But I do also understand that is the American.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in reality, they're like, this is what an American would do.
He thinks he knows everything. He's always talking.
Because, well, the Viking one, there was talking, but it was Viking talking.
It was Viking talking.
She's like, I'm going to fucking kill all of you.
Yeah.
And I don't give a fuck. And
she explains the story of what happened to her dad and everything. That's not done in pantomime, but like all of the dialogue in the American sections, all the dialogue's too hard. I really like the pilots talking to each other.
Yes.
I really, really like the pilots realizing how fucked they are.
Oh, yeah.
And just like being like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like there's
that's
no
what was
coming
so good about the writing of this is each segment, they could have very easily just wrote them the characters similar.
Yeah.
They all were to their period and how you would act. I mean, he was a 20-year-old douchebag kid.
Yeah.
Thrown in the situation. He's not going to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, from somewhere in California. He's never had to work.
Cocky as hell.
Yeah.
And he's American.
Doesn't know
and I'm sorry,
shit.
Americans don't know how to shut the fuck up.
No, we don't.
So there you go.
No, we don't.
It was perfect.
We always got to talk. Always got to talk.
But then the big reveal that at the end, it seems like in order for the ninja and the American to get away in a ship, the Viking looks like she's going to sacrifice herself, but they never show her getting killed. Mm-hmm. And then in kind of a end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, they're pushing a cryo bin, which shows you how they're all together.
Yeah.
And there are just thousands of these cryo bins, and in there is the protagonist from Prey.
Prey, Naru.
And so they save everyone who's killed a predator to fight each other and then fight the predators.
I think Dutch was in one of those too.
I couldn't quite...
I thought I saw someone that was kind of squarish.
It could have been.
And so I wasn't sure.
And it would be amazing if they do a sequel to this and they do get Arnold to voice him as Dutch.
Right.
But like that to me was like, dude, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah. No, I was so taken with it. Because
dude, it was so good.
It really is everything we love about animation.
Yeah.
It really is just like, it allows for so many storytelling elements that don't naturally come in other medias.
Yep.
And it allows, I don't know, there's just something about animation where just immediately all disbelief is suspended.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like out of hat. You're just like, yep, okay, whatever. You show me the rules of this world, and as long as you hold to those rules, it's all gravy.
And I would say this animation, I was trying to, when I was watching it, trying to figure out what it most reminds me of. It most reminds me of Into the Spider-Verse.
I got that too because it looked like there were some frames dropping and other things like that. Yeah.
And it had like this dark shaded kind of.
Yeah.
Man, it was so good.
I really just wish Disney writ large, you know, whether it's the Fox, because this is technically a Fox product, or whether it's the Disney products or the Lucas products or the Marvel products, do everything that you're going to do for an entire year, do it as animation.
Yeah.
And I say this because it means that you'll have to stop what you're doing and start prepping on other projects. And it'll take up more of your time and more of your focus. And God help us, it'll create a better product.
Yeah. And like War of the Rohirrim, this is just more proof of people got to get it out of their fucking heads. Same with video games being just for kids. Animation's not just for fucking kids. This is, like I said, this is my movie of the year right now. It's an A++ to me.
Yeah.
And this movie, once again, will be very difficult to beat because, like you're saying, it's everything we wanted. It's like they listened to our show. It's everything we have ever dreamed of. And it was something I can't show my kids for at least another 10 years.
Well, I was going to say, we were talking a few weeks ago before the show, about the new Mortal Kombat that came out a few years ago and how it was a certain someone's first R-rated film.
Yes.
And I look at that and I look at the animated Mortal Kombat movies. Have you seen any of the animated Mortal? Way bloodier than the live action movie was. A woman gets sawed in half in the live action movie, and I think that's the goriest thing that happens. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The level of gore in the animated Mortal Kombat movies, all four of them, is unreal. Have you seen the Johnny Cage anime?
No, I've not seen the Johnny Cage.
It's so fucking good.
I gotta see it.
You have to check it out. Jennifer Grey is the villain. It's fucking amazing.
Oh, Jesus.
Jennifer Grey as Jennifer Grey.
What is that streaming on? Do you know?
It should be on the Max.
On the Max, okay.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is because even those pale in comparison to some of the modern video game kills, which are like insanely intense. But getting back to this movie, like I really hope for more of this.
Yeah.
I hope people watch this. It probably won't happen. It's going to be like Prey, which was critically acclaimed, and then no one fucking saw it.
Yeah.
War of the Rohirrim, critically acclaimed, no one fucking saw it.
No one watched it.
And it's like, this is the kind of shit that frustrates me about modern film goers.
Yes.
Because I am getting to the point where I am not going to blame the filmmakers anymore, because the film goers do not want to watch the good shit. They want to watch the stupid shit, and that's why the filmmakers keep making stupid shit.
Well, it's the there's two things on that. One, the issue of audience is, where is this getting a big audience versus where was it made?
Yeah.
And that becomes an ongoing issue. I'm not saying it's a problem, but I am saying that it becomes an issue if Chinese markets dictate American filmmaking. I think that's a problem.
That's a huge problem.
Look at the girth of Transformers films.
Oh, yeah.
With severely depleting value.
Yeah.
And tell me that this is a good money-making operation.
Oh, no, I agree with you.
It reminds me of... We talked about this previously, but it reminds me of the Russos being like, we're just making movies for the TikTok generation. Yes. It gives us this impression of like, oh, we're just going to focus on this one audience, and we're going to say that audience is our entire audience. And it's like, I would super rather you didn't.
Yeah.
Because it's not. And there's a much bigger audience. And while you can make a piece that is very bad but appeals to a wide base, I would argue every great piece of media has started with a very specific vision in mind.
Yes.
And then it finds its audience based out of that vision, out of the people that will go and watch it. So, like, another series that this reminds me of is Venom versus Upgrade.
Yes.
Venom gets 3 movies, and they're all bad. All of them are bad.
The third one, I couldn't make 10 minutes.
I refuse to watch the second one. I love Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
I love him. I would give him Christmas cards every day. I am not watching that heaping pile of trash. Yeah. Upgrade, if you haven't seen it, is what Venom should be.
I own Upgrade. I love that.
It's 100% what Venom should be.
Yep.
And it's just such a wide miss on the mark. And it's incredible. And it happens all the time now. Right down to the fact that the fucking lead in Upgrade is, what's his name? It's like Trevor Green Marshall or something. Mm-hmm. And he looks like fucking Tom Hardy. He's off-brand Tom Hardy.
He is off-brand Tom Hardy. So you're not wrong about that.
It's just like... Oh, Logan Marshall Green. I am so tired of these major studios getting scooped. You know, I think that's my big takeaway from all of this.
Well, and going off of your Venom thing, the frustrating thing I always have with Venom is it's made by the same company that made Deadpool.
Yeah.
Deadpool came out 2 years before Venom. It is a rated R property, and they made a rated R movie. Venom is a rated R property, and they made a shitty PG-13 version of it. For some goddamn reason, people went out and fucking saw it, which pisses me off. Because it's like, Venom should have been an R-rated fucking movie.
Yes. Literally, lethal protector.
You have success 2 years earlier showing that it can work as an R-rated property, and they still made it PG-13.
No, it makes me crazy. It goes back to, like, how My Hero and other animes and other, superhero properties, Invincible. I might not always agree with how these properties approach superhero stories. They do a hell of a lot better job than anything Marvel or DC have done.
Oh, yeah.
The closest we've gotten is the fact that in Peacemaker, they name drop Matter Eater Lad. Like, that's the closest we've gotten to the level of characterization and world building that you get just out of pocket with any of these other properties.
Yeah.
Where, like, they've not only thought about it, they've based their entire ideology around it. Whereas Marvel's like, oh, there were never any superheroes in Miami. A place like Miami? No. Why would they have superheroes? I mean,
there was more world building in the Flash TV show than there was in any Marvel property.
Yeah.
I mean, when first time I saw Gorilla Grodd, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This show knows how to fucking do it.
And again, take the big swing.
Yes.
Because people will applaud you if you take the swing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you had Lobo in something, whether he's played by Jason Momoa or not, That's a huge swing. And whenever Lobo shows up, the animated Superman movie that I'm going to be comparing this summer Superman movie, Superman Man of Tomorrow, which should have been the title of this one, Mr. Gunn. When Lobo shows up in the animated Man of Tomorrow, it's so such awesome. An amazing moment.
Yeah.
You're just like, holy shit. And not only does he show up as fan service, he shows up and plays an integral role in the story, in the life of Superman, in his knowledge base over who he is and where he comes from. And it's huge. Like, in that universe, Superman didn't know exactly what he was until Lobo shows up and is like, a Kryptonian?
Yeah.
Here? And then Clark is like, I don't know what a Kryptonian is, man. Because he doesn't know that his name is Kal-El. You know, like...
But this all goes to what you and I have always said, is their animated movies are still the best.
But what are we looking at here with the Predator Killer of Killers? Is we don't have a room where all the skulls of all these different aliens from all these different properties are in it.
Oh, look, there's that. Oh, there's that.
We don't have, a character doing this one thing. You don't have someone saying, I ain't got time to bleed. I'm a fucking sexual tyrannosaurus.
Oh, God, or get to the chopper.
But you don't have any of that.
Yeah.
Whereas in Marvel and other properties, that's like their whole thing is just like, okay, what kitschy reference can we make to either our own thing or someone else's? So that people be like, I know what that means. I got that one, guys.
And they really do think that the film-going audience is stupid. And I'll admit, I don't think people are dumb, but I think there is a large group of people that do like to be spoon-fed.
Yeah.
And I would hope that people would challenge those people a little more than they do.
Don't make content for everybody under the same rubrics that you use to make content for the people that don't care. Stop trying to build your audience base and just cater to your base.
Yes.
Marvel, I feel like, would be so much further ahead if they had looked around and said, okay, our audience is growing up. Let's grow up with them. And then any new 12-year-olds that come along next year can be introduced to it when they're 13. You don't need to go back and keep trying to appeal to this year's new group of 16-year-olds. You need to identify your base and continue to make products for your base.
Yes. Because that's what made Marvel itself. How many people were dragged to Iron Man?
Yeah.
With the base.
Yeah.
And that's what spawned it all. But then, once again, those people liked it, but didn't love it like the base did.
Yeah.
So they liked it enough to go see their movies, but they didn't love it enough to stick with these characters.
Yeah.
Hence why things are going to shit right now.
Stop making movies for the teenager who's like, what do you want to do this weekend? Or the 38-year-old who's like, I don't know, is there a new Marvel movie out? Make movies for the people that went in fucking costume to the theater to see the thing. That's who you should be making the movie
And that
for.
is why the movie, I've said this since COVID, the movie-going experience is dying hard because people don't... The movies are not good enough to go to the theater. I would go to the theater to see what we just saw with the Predator movie.
Yeah.
99% of the shit in the theaters, I don't want to go see it.
No.
I will wait.
This is why we've started not going to Marvel movies in theaters anymore.
Yes.
We still have to decide if we're going to go and see Fantastic Four and Superman in theaters.
Superman is going to be a yes, just because he's my favorite superhero, so I have to give this the benefit of the doubt.
How much do we love Pedro Pascal?
I love him, but I
Is this a Disney Plus?
And this is going to make me sound chauvinistic, and it isn't. I'm really mad about the female Silver Surfer. Once again, if it happened together with the original Silver Surfer, different story.
Yeah.
But it's like, to me, it doesn't make sense to introduce her here.
Well, okay, so two things on that. One, I fully agree with you. If you had done this in contention with, so Norrin Rand is the Silver Surfer and Shayla Bell is also the Silver Surfer. Because, Galactus has multiple heralds at any given time. Exactly. It's not crazy. But two, it's beginning. Well, what we all knew was going to happen is beginning.
Yes.
Which is, did Galactus give her that eyeliner and lipstick? Oh, have you seen her feet? Oh, look at that body. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't have female characters because of chauvinism. But I'm also going to look at the situation and say you invited yourself into this situation. No one made you do this. No one made you go with this design. No one made you go with this look. Everyone told you this was a bad idea. Yeah. You went ahead with it anyway. I have no sympathy for you. Like, I hate that this is what's happening. I hate that inevitably in the next 2 years, there's going to be a run in the comics where they replace the Silver Surfer with Shia LaBelle officially. Yeah. So now it's comic book official, and that means it's all okay, right? No. You cannot just publish something and then be like, well, that's the canon. We're following the canon. Yeah. No, fuck that. That fucking sucks. That's
Which is already what they did with the Acolyte, and you saw how that turned out.
Well, like, it's how we got fucking Venom in No Way Home.
Yes.
Because at some point, the Venom symbiote became such a hive mind that it could communicate via the multiverse.
Yeah, which is so stupid.
Which makes no fucking sense for a variety of reasons.
But like, I'm glad you brought up the Fantastic Four and we got into the discussion about the Silver Surfer, because this is what we've always talked about. So if you look at Killer of Killers, the first person in the first segment who is the one that kills Predator is a female. A very well-written, extremely well-written female character.
Extremely well-motivated.
Very well done. Yeah. Well-motivated, but still had the weak, the love for her child that dies. And it's like you have this emotional feeling, but it's also the strong character. And then you have them just pigeonhole. And I that's what drives me nuts. It's like, I want to root for female characters, but I don't want you to just put them in because they're female. Yeah. I want you to put them in because it makes sense for them to be there. Yeah. And so, like, this is the perfect dynamic because we have a very well-written version and a very dog shit thrown in version. Yeah. And it's like, why are you doing that?
Why do we do this? Well, it reminds me of this meme that's going around. It goes around every few years. But it's that Disney did a better job with diversity when they weren't trying. And you look at, like, the late 90s, early 2000s. And when they weren't trying to be this diverse, we're going to tell all these stories from all these different cultures, the storytelling was better. Yeah. You look at Brother Bear, that's a story told in a very different way than any other Disney story. Well, not only in that regard, but like in what we were talking about last week, where there seems to be this push for, we're going to get rid of the big fight at the end. Yes. We're going to have our characters talk it out, and that's going to be the resolution to our movie. It's a nice, long conversation where we all address our problems and decide that we're going to walk away from this amicably. And, that doesn't work for a lot of storytelling. And, you look at Brother Bear, it has a great ending that has a lot of those same feelings, but doesn't leave you feeling like, so what was the point of all of this? If this could all have just been resolved with one conversation in the cherry grove, the cherry blossom grove, why did all this have to happen? I guess I just don't understand why all this had to happen. You look at, again, going back to Attack on Titan, you look at the violence and warfare in that, and it's a tragedy. It's not, it's done for the sake of entertainment. Yeah. But the way that it's displayed after that entertainment is as a tragedy. Yeah. And it's something that hangs on these characters. It means so much more.
I agree.
And it just do better. All I can tell these big companies is do better, because I haven't had the kind of like, whoa, that's a good emotional punch of when they're about to, spoilers for the end of Killer of Killers, when they're about to escape and they get hit with a grappling hook that is keeping them tethered to the ground. Yes. And that's when the Viking jumps out and she says, I'm saving my boys.
Yes.
And then the samurai, the ninja, goes to the GI and says, we're in this together, brother.
Yes.
And you're like, it all came back together.
It all came together.
It all came back together into one whole.
Yes.
You just don't see that in any, like, so many times you're just like, oh, that hanging Chad, just leave it. It's not important. This felt whole, complete, like this actual thought out project. And even the credits had that kind of feel of like, you're looking at the credits, and Prey had the same thing where like amazing. The story ended and then the credits finished the story.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh.
Dude, so amazing. And doesn't she, before she jump out, say, "Don't avenge me"?
Yeah.
Which
because her father had told her, avenge me.
And she told her son, avenge me. And then, don't avenge me.
Don't avenge me.
So
get out of here.
Oh, man.
Go, get out of here, live a life. Oh, it's a good movie.
I tell you, and it's a tight hour and a half.
Yeah.
I will watch this multiple more times.
100%.
And once again, I give it as A++. It's got as much extra credit as you could possibly get.
I would also give this an A+. This is like definitely well worth. It's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's like it goes down easy.
Very easy.
It's good lore drop without being like all fan servicey lore drop. It's like I said, it doesn't have that scene that we're going to see later on this year in Predator Badlands, which is going to have a big piano hanging over it now.
Oh, yes.
In terms of how it performs. But like we were saying when we reviewed the trailer for Badlands, and they had the Independence Day aliens in the Predator's trophy room. You didn't have to deal with that shit.
And that's my concern. I am more concerned now about this new one, because the thing I loved about Prey and loved about this is it told a Predator story, but it told a simple Predator story really well.
Yeah.
Now, I say simple and it's broken up into 4 segments, but there wasn't a lot of flash.
No.
It was conflict, Predator watching the conflict, Predator getting involved, Predator dying, and then conflict resolution at the end. And Prey, same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when I watched the Badlands, I watched the trailer again after I watched the movie. It just looks like it's falling into the Hollywood trope a little bit, which I'm concerned about.
I want to see it because I think it's the same creative team.
I think it is
that
too.
did Prey and Killer of Killers.
Yes.
So I want this to work, especially because this could be a great model for bigger groups to look at, where it's like you have this animated feature that builds the world, and then you have this big tentpole feature, and then you have this smaller animated feature, and then you have this big tentpole feature. Yeah. I think that could be a really interesting way of building out stuff, especially with some of the characters that are, maybe less well known.
Mm-hmm.
Animated Wonder Man show could be good. Could be better than a regular Wonder Man show.
Better than a live action one. Like going off of what you were saying about these big companies, I would love for them to take these big tentpole franchises that are not doing well, like Terminator and Predator and Aliens and all that, and say, here is your budget, $75 million. That's what they did to make Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
You have $75 million. Make a good movie.
Yeah.
And then they would have to do more of what like they did in this animated one and the first Predator, where you didn't really see the Predator until you needed to.
Yeah. Well, and it also reminds me of Strange New Worlds, where when I make fun of them, but at the end of the day, it's very economical storytelling.
Yes.
In that first episode where the Gorn show up, and they are being chased by 3 Gorn ships into a dwarf star something or other that's collapsing. There is a moment where they are trying to blow up a Gorn ship. They turn off all the engines and everything, and you have Spock looking through this one little device, and he drops a bomb, and he says, "Gorn ship destroyed." We don't see any of it. We just see Spock looking through this one little thing. And I make fun of them for that, because we don't see it. We don't see all of the everything in the space and the bomb and the everything. But at the same time, it's very economical storytelling. Yeah. And you're on a very tight budget. And
we've seen spaceships blow up before.
And as a result, we get to see the end of that episode where they do go and they're chasing each other through this black hole horizon line, whatever you want to call it. And so it's I want to see more of that, less of the acolyte of like everything is super flashy all the time. We only film in the volume. We don't do sets anymore. We don't do costumes anymore. We're beyond all of that. I can do all this on my computer. Stop. Full stop, all of that. Because 1, there's a pretty good chance it won't look good. 2, it's becoming increasingly expensive. 3, it takes as long as animation, so you might as well just animate the thing and get rid of all of these suspension of disbelief problems, get rid of all of these other things. And you know what will make people stop thinking of animation in terms of kid stuff? Showing them this.
Yeah.
Doing stuff like this.
Exactly.
That'll show people like, hey, not just for kids.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, folks, that was NerdPod Generations episode 163. Really hope you enjoyed. I enjoyed the hell out of the show.
That was a good one.
I love talking about things that we enjoy.
Yeah, we never get to do it. As much as we like
the rants.
Listen, the rants are fun, and the rants pay the bills. But going back to last week when we were talking about one for them, one for us.
Yes.
This was the one for us.
This was the one for us. And we really hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Once again, go to nerdpodgen.com. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also YouTube. If you do listen to us, make sure you subscribe to the channel, both on the podcast site and on YouTube. Al, if you go to our website, we have wonderful artwork. Who does our artwork and music?
Our art is by Kortney Howell. Our music is by Brendan Williams and James Connolly.
So next week, we're either going to get on Murderbot or we're going to talk about Sinners, or maybe both.
Maybe
so we
both.
do have a lot to talk about.
I watched 5 episodes of Murderbot today, so we'll see. We're definitely going to cover it at some point.
We're going to cover it eventually.
It's going to come up.
It might become one of those wait till the series is done and talk about the whole thing.
You know, I would be okay with that, honestly.
I would too. So,
I'm much more interested in Sinners for next week. I think
next week might be our review of Sinners, folks.
Vampires.
Unless something insane happens.
A vampire weekend, if you will.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Have a great week.
See you later, friends and enemies.